Glad you could join us this evening. I'm Hugh Hefner, editor-publisher of Playboy magazine, and your host. And this is Playboy's Penthouse. Come on in and meet some of our guests. Well, here we have Eleanor Bradley and Miss Joyce Nazari, two of our most popular playmates, and Lenny Bruce, foremost exponent of sick humor and...
Oh! Isn't that sick? Yeah. Oh boy, the champagne is really making my nose bubbly, Uncle Hugh.
Especially well known for his extemporaneous and ad-lib.
That was ad-lib, you like that?
That was very ad-lib.
Go ahead and take care of your guests, and I'll help the girls rustle up some.
Okay, good.
Come and get me some tea. Hey, okay, good. That's that circulating. Hey, say what's happening here. Give me a taste of it.
Yeah. Huh? You having a good time?
Yeah, it's good. I'm beat there. What's that?
Yeah.
I was kind of rude with those. I was talking to the chicks, and then all of a sudden they sort of floated up into.
I wonder if I can have a drink. Maybe.
It's a kind of an interesting party. You know, I first figured it would be like sort of a TV, you know, typical fake party, you know. But it's got a good party feeling to it with some pretty chicks, you know, which is a good composite, you know.
Well, the girls, and we serve real liquor, and it does the trick.
Do you think you'll get any objection, you know, drinking on the show? I don't think I've ever seen that on the show. Do you think that'll be objection?
We'll find out. We hope not.
Yeah, I hope not, because I would hope so if none of the viewers drank at home. But if they do drink, then I would want the same honesty to be on the show, you know, which should be the motivation for the show. And then that's what grew me about the show, that it's actually a party. So whatever happens at a party, within, you know, limitations.
Well, we're trying to trying to build the personality of the show out of the magazine itself and make the thing a sort of a sophisticated weekly get-together of the people that we dig and who dig us. And just have ourselves a kind of a late-night ball.
Yeah, when I first heard that Playboy was going to do a Penthouse party, I sort of wondered, and you know, not what you're supposing. I wondered, you know, because I would never satirize the obvious. I wondered about the sponsor, because I'm sure that, you know, there has to be some sponsor identification. And I was wondering about the sponsor. Will the sponsor out there say, well, Playboy is very chic and, as you said, sophisticated. The magazine is filled with car coats, sports cars, and there's a prospective sponsor out there. Do you figure that your viewer, suppose he can afford the sports car, the sports coat? Well, I've been thinking about that. And I'm glad that you've got some guts. You're not interested in the people that don't have any money.
That's right.
I mean, you people out there, this is just my opinion, you people out there are just going to have to wait till your own magazine comes along, the Reader's Digest, maybe, you know.
They'll have their own TV show.
Yeah, or Field and Stream. That'd be good. Field and Stream, the playmate for December has a duck in her mouth. And she comes out with me sort of a group. Let's see the magazine. Let's see. This is the October one.
With Eleanor on the cover.
Yeah, well, no, let me get a later one. Let me get a later Playboy here. Okay. The things I remember most about, you know, the letters to the editor, I can always say, let's have some more of Linda Johnson. Those kind of nuts who write in, you know. And that's always Linda Johnson writing in.
Or her mother, right?
Yeah, Ralph Johnson. And then they had the things on the beatniks and that kind of, you know, that which is magazine writing today.
I imagine we're going to probably have a program dedicated to Beat one of these days soon with Kerouac and...
There's a funny thing with beatnik. I went by a, you know, like a coffee shop thing. So there's a guy with a beard there, you know, and I used to speak strictly in the hip idiom. So the guy's got the beard, and I figure I'll relax him, I'll talk hip. So I was like, what's shaking, baby? And he started talking Jewish. He was a rabbi. Which is like pretty...
You can't tell some of this.
Yes, Beck, that's good, good.
Can't tell with beards these days.
Before, you know, I admire Inspector Oski very much, and I like you. And I thought later, when we were talking early with Nat Cole, that I seemed a little hostile. And I wasn't. I didn't want that to come across. But sometimes, if I'm very exuberant, and I'll yell, and then it sounds like sort of rank, So if I seem that way, I want to apologize to you.
This is pretty different than the TV shows you're used to doing, the Steve Allen things and the Spectaculars, a little more relaxed and a little more fun. What kind of you work areas of humor that are controversial and, according to some people, pretty sick. Do you consider yourself a sick comic?
Yeah, that's interesting. Do I consider myself sick? No. There's a way. Sick, let's take the word, semantics, There's no such thing, naturally, as sick comedy, There's no such thing as beatniks. It's a writer's device. Beatniks were back as in Maxwell Bodenheim's era in the Village. Sick jokes go as far back as Shakespeare. But it's, do you have a Kleenex or something? Have you got, one of the chicks got a Kleenex? Yeah? I never carry a handkerchief. Isn't that strange? I don't even have a, do you have one? Good. I never do carry a handkerchief. I'm going to tell you something I've never told anybody before. I've never blown my nose before.
The first time. All right,
say
this is a TV first.
Television first.
Should I just do it on camera?
I'm sure you've never blown your nose on camera before. I think it's allowed.
All right, I mean...
It's a casual show, and...
what does the code say? Just let it go, eh?
I think so.
Am I in a close shot? I'd like to,
Bring it close up and bring up the sound.
Here it goes. I can't do it. All right, I'll just turn it around. You get the feel. I hate...
Give me back my hand.
No, I'm really going to do it. I'm not putting you on. All right, here goes. Where did you get this? Is this a rug swatch? Next thing,
I'm going to dress my...
No. This is... thank you. Yeah. Now, maybe... that's how... That could start to be a whole new vogue for comedy, Or I make... this may be my thing on television. You see the guy that blew his nose on Penthouse Party? And I got on the Jack Parr show. And then it could just start to build, I could do interviews and that, and then they could label it like sick comedy. The guy say, well, when did you first start blowing your nose on television? Well, it was just one time. I was with Hugh Hefner, Inspector Oski, and I sniffled, and the guy said, do you want to use my handkerchief? And it just happened. It was a meeting of the minds, sort of. And I just blew my nose, and then I became controversial. Just going around, and you can just do it once a night, though.
What's it like doing a show like, well, Steve Allen's or any of the big network shows? Is it...
You can't blow your nose.
That's one of the things you can't do.
No, there are some restrictions. You can't.
Did Steve ever let you con him out of a handkerchief? I mean, I noticed you rewrote history
That's
there
the
a
old
little. You
trick
said,
of
I offered you the handkerchief.
Yeah. Okay. Well,
I'll never get it back.
There were some restrictions, but not from Steve Allen. Do you know Steve Allen, Professor?
We used to work.
I think you'll agree, maybe, that I feel he is the most literate. He is probably the most erudite, humane humorist on the American scene today. Besides comedy, he's interested, and I'm not being facetious now, Strodium 90, Fallout. Does he ever send you any of that kind of literature? He's very active, with the Albert Schweitzer kind of thing, and I really like him. But he doesn't control the whole show. Profit motivation and sponsors do. So when I did the first show, they had, they're naturally afraid of the way I work, and it's a live show, it's not taped, so I could have, been pretty irreverent. So they had me audition, which is very hard for me. I do pretty spontaneous humor, and to do word-for-word comedy is just horrendous. So I did a joke, and Steve is cracking up. He's laughing. But the producer, Bill Harback, he's laughing, but he's got a little more to lose. Like, that kind of thing. So I did a joke on the show. Oh, yeah. I made reference to a joke I used to do, and I said that I have a tattoo, which I actually have. And I got this in Malta, in the Mediterranean, about 1942. And I said that, in the joke I did on the show, I said I smoked Marlboros when I was 6 years old and it grew up. Yeah. Which is like a funny joke. Okay, now, then I went into a truism. And I said, because of this tattoo, I never can be buried in a Jewish cemetery. That's the truth. That's the Orthodox scene. You have to go out of the world the way you came in, with no marks or no changes, you know. So when I got back from Malta, I was over at my aunt's house in Jamaica, Long Island, and she's very Orthodox. So I'm in her kitchen, I'm washing with a Roki soap there, you know. So she pins the tattoo and she flips, you know. She goes, ah! Ah! You know, so it's a real Jewish minor bird. Yeah. So she did. You're on your arm. You can't be back in the Jewish cemetery. I said, what do you nudge me for? Mima, they'll cut the sword, they'll bury this in a Gentile cemetery, you know? And leave me alone. Okay, which is like cute and humorous. Okay, now, continuity says to me, you can't do that. You can't, so why not? He said, well, it's definitely offensive to the Jewish people. I said, you're a nut, man. He said, no, it is blah, 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 blah. He said, any time we do any humor on any ethnic groups, you know, there's a lot of male. Now let me first set that straight. I think that anybody who writes into anybody are whacks. Nuts. Any of you people out of your skull out there who sit in and write stations, you know. Because I know anyone who's got a function, married women with children are too busy, you know, guys who work. So it has to be some complete far-out wacko who's sitting alone in a furnished room, you know, with a TV set the Goodwill gave him, you know, and he's saying, ah, that's dirty, you know what I mean, while he's choking pigeons and a good Kraft Ebbing background, you know. Oh, I got off on a tangent. Well, anyway, so the guy said to me, can't do the joke. I said, well, later, I'm not going to do the show, you know, because I've got enough bread, I don't have to make this scene, you know. So he says to me, no, blah, 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 blah. You see, you don't need that. I said, look, it's not offensive to the Jewish people. I'm Jewish, and it doesn't offend me, and I represent. I'm the Messiah, okay? So I said, no. Okay, now, dig, they have a whole hassle, you know. So the guy goes back, and there's about 20 guys. They all get together, and they talk it over. And the guy comes back, and he says, Lenny, we talked it all over, and it's definitely offensive to the Gentile people, too. I said, how do you figure that? He said, well, what you're saying in essence is that the Gentiles don't care what they bury. So, you know, go fight that kind of thing.
Oh, too much. Well, we hope we'll have no such problems with our show here. We're gonna.
No, it's getting better, you know.
Mm-hmm. I see. Yeah, I think you're right. I sense a change in the times and an ability to discuss things more openly on TV and movies.
I think we're going
magazines.
through a very interesting transition. First, there was Burroughs, slapstick, you know, out comedy. Just a moment for sick comedy, by the way. As I said, there was nothing new. Time magazine grouped about 4 or 5 sick comics. Let's negate that immediately. Mortzall, brilliant, political, stand-up, stark monologist. Nothing sick about him, or he would have never done a Revlon spec. Shelley Berman, real Hamish, down-home humor, forget him. Jonathan Winters. Yeah, Jonathan's, yeah, he's beautiful. He's a little sick, yeah, I dig him. In fact, they're taking me away soon. Jonathan finked on me. That's how he got out. He turned into nuts. And, and that's what the guy said. If I turn in 4 nuts, I can stay on the street. But Lou Costello, there's a good comedian. Well-liked, well-loved comic. And the era that's criticizing the sick comic today, which, believe me, I feel no hostility towards any reviewer that writes me, because I realize that the reviewer has to take a side, one man's opinion, and for him to knock makes a very interesting column. So I'm not drugged with any people who put down sick comedy, you know, because I don't do any sick comedy, you know, but it's a commercial tag that's happened now. The same as Calypso, which never was. Let's see, Lou Costello. Let me think of a joke that Costello would do. You'd never think of Lou Costello as a sick comic, would you?
No, family type home entertainment.
All right. Lou Costello used to do a joke. My wife died last night. Now, I would never move into that area at all in humor.
Mm-hmm.
I would never. A comedy is tragedy plus time. That's a little too close. Already, that's some sicko one. His wife died last night. He's humoring. When she, on her deathbed, she said, when I die, if you cheat on me, I'll dig my way out of my grave and haunt you, which is a pretty macabre situation we're building. The joke, the punchline, I buried her face down, let her dig. That's sick.
Yeah,
That's very sicko.
Well,
wife dead, crawling through the grave. You know.
Edgar Allan Poe.
Yeah, it's a hasty heart.
Well, it's been suggested, and I think there's something to it, that more than you're really operating in sick areas, it is society itself that maybe has some problems, and you kind of throw a little light on some of them.
Yeah. Then again, I'd like to, I'd love to be the martyr, and say, yeah, that's right, a society's sick, and, I'm straightening out a lot of societal problems. But I realize that I'm society, it's never they. Your society, and it's like, integration to me is a big hang-up. I capsule it very quickly. I don't knock anybody who's not an out-and-out integration. It's just the way I look at it very simply. It's just from a moral aspect. If you're not an out-and-out integrationist, not you're an atheist, because Christ and Moses were teachers. And if you keep anybody out of school for 5 minutes, you're against every Christ-like concept, so that you're an atheist. Now, from a safety factor, the missiles, Polaris, Vanguard, Atlas are made from academic background, physics. There's no such thing as give them a few dollars, they'll fix it. It doesn't work that way. So anyone who is not an out-and-out integrationist is just a communist, pro-communist, So that bugs me. But I never get that. I'm just giving you a bill now. I never get that philosophical with it on the floor without getting humorous. Whereas I've watched a lot of nighttime shows where they've got 4 or 5 colored people and 3 or 4 au faits, and they get heavy with it. It gets too profound. They just start discussing Porgy and Bess, which I'll give you quick for a moment. Porgy and Bess, Otto Preminger, forget him. He's a rank amateur. But as far as Porgy and Bess being a Jim Crow Uncle Tom picture, not so, because Porgy and Bess, the spays at that time were funky and down home, and he painted them just that way. Now, if you're going to get on a scene with colored people and you get too patronizing, then as Ralph Ellison says, it becomes the invisible man. Really treat them as people. In other words, I'm Jewish, I don't resent Shylock in Shakespeare, So, but on the floor, I'm a bug with integration, so I'll attack it humorously, and I'll go to Little Rock and I'll say that Little Rock has solved the situation. They've done it through legislation. If the colored people can pass the literacy test, they get the vote, and it's very fair. Well, let's see now. Line all the colored people up here, and if they pass the test, they can get the vote here. It's very easy. Just sign your name. There's this ballpoint pen, this piece of wax paper, and just sign it. And
I think it's in the areas of social commentary that you probably come closest to people like Morton, things that Morton does. But you also work with your humor in areas that very few, the little anecdote of Costello's notwithstanding, that very few comics work today. You find humor in some of the strangest and sickest aspects of society, like some kid blowing up his mother in a plane or things of this kind.
Yeah, well, here's how I feel about it. If I start to really analyze my humor, I guess every bit of it stems from some societal problem or people's concept that I think is hypocrisy. All right, the kid that, remember a couple years ago, and I did on the album too, a kid was stuck in the well? All right, there was a child that was trapped in the well. Huh? And a doctor attended him. And they got the kid out, and the doctor sent a bill. Right? Now, the nation screamed, what thinks those doctors are, How about that? Sending those poor people a bill, you know. Well, naturally, the poor person they sent the bill, let's see, generalize his, maybe as a TV repairman, all right? And he's a poor person opposed to the doctor who maybe grosses $6,000 or $7,000 a month, or a specialist, right? Okay, but how about the poor TV mirror? That schlub wants to get paid now, Daddy, you know. $2 home repair, he wants the bread there, from the doctor, anyone he wants it from. So the doctor naturally he should get paid. So that struck me sort of humorously and bugged me, too. So I satirized it, and I said that they sent the doctor bill, you know, blah, blah, blah. So it brought so much heat on the AMA, the American Medical Association, that all the doctors got together, you know. And the doctor kept saying, I want my money. What do you figure? Look, I want the money, man. I stayed out there with the kid, and it was cold, my legs are chapped, and that's it. I want the bread, that's all. I'm giving out split now. Will you stop it now with that money? Look, I want the money, man, and that's all. I don't want to have no hassle. I sent the bill, $63 plus the medicine, and that's it. I want it. That's it. I want the money. I don't want the guy fixing my TV. I want the money. That's it, you know. But you stop with the money. We'll get even next year with a new disease, and that's it. Forget about it. Yeah, we'll swing that way. I tell you, get the guys. Give me a new disease for next year. All right, we're thinking. Get the writers up. Give me what disease you're working on. Well, we're thinking of switching the grip. Yeah, we didn't do the grip for a while. That's pretty wild. Yeah, the grip. That's interesting. Let's see. I'll give you a working title for it. Asiatic flu. Okay? Send that out. Call up Park Lily, get some new pills. The Spaniels died last year. Call up Leonard Solomon, Solomon's Drugs, and get some, I think the greens will go good. And that's it. Okay, doctors, that's it. Asiatic flu. Are there any questions? Yeah, what are the symptoms? Same bit. Nauseous, headache, loss of appetite, all right? All right, what do we tell the people when they want to know where it comes from? Are you kidding? The same bit. It's going around. It's going on. Throw in the body is like a tree, and throw in those other moron parallels, you know, that they understand. Your body's like an automobile, and if you put the gas on and those other nitwit things, okay? That's it. I send it out. So that's it. So they got the kid, you know, out of the well, and the report came from Patchogue, New York, that the child is out of the well. The doctor bill will not have to be paid. Of course, the child will have to be returned to the well. And that is like, you know, which is...